Hey, team.
Hey, Omid.
Hey, how are you? Morning.
I'm good. And you?
Good, good, very good.
Awesome,
How are you?
awesome.
Where are you at right now? Is in
Huh?
Barcelona or Germany?
No, no, I'm in Germany. I live
Oh,
here.
Germany.
I live here now in Germany, so I'm here. Exactly. Just one note. I'm just recording this conversation just because I think it's interesting to see. Maybe we can publish some parts of it at some point. Would be really.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it was a decision you made for the first time recording this and trying
Mhm.
out how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. But
Yeah,
the one
great.
thing is important to know because the meeting is probably ending in 45 minutes, so we have to restart it. Uh,
Okay. If we really need more time, we
yeah,
can
I would
also
love to.
make
I
it
think
very, yeah,
mm,
yeah.
mm,
Let's
let
go with the flow.
let's go with the flow. Exactly. So, how have you been after the demo festival?
Oh, great. Quite busy, but yeah, I also had some random feedback from people. That was so exciting being there, and some people send me some kind of screenshots. It's funny. I don't have any footage from my work that was screening in the different places.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Ah.
and some people just send me a few pictures and recognizing the work. It's
Hmm.
super nice when you don't know people and you get connected through this a really nice festival. Yeah, they did
Yes.
really huge and nice work this time, I think. Uh,
Very
yeah,
true. Yeah, it was impressive. I was so blown away by the big screens, especially in the central station of Amsterdam. I,
yeah,
it
yeah.
was super nice, super good.
Can I just interrupt just a second to put my uh laptop power a little bit.
Sure, no worries. Take your
I'm
time.
sorry.
No, no worries.
Yeah, it's okay right now. So,
Awesome.
what about you? How do you um, feel after? I mean, it was also very intense
Yeah.
program for the demo, and
Yes, it
yeah,
was very
yeah,
intense. I mean, I gave the workshop in the morning about creativity techniques like designing within limits, which was super nice. I didn't use a computer anyway. It was completely based on
oh
pens
wow,
and papers, and people were drawing their own little creativity models, which was amazing. Like I loved it. And then giving the talk was also very, of course, very exciting. I'm always nervous when I'm getting on stages, and but it went super well. Yeah, I was very relieved and happy. I mean, I actually prepared the whole talk quite a long time, and yeah, so it was an amazing experience. But in the end, I was very exhausted, very happy that I was home back here in the small Paderborn.
nice.
hmm Yeah. So. And by the way, I really loved our conversation, which was very, very interesting. I was thinking a lot about this. I don't know why. What really resonated so much with me was this. I mean, you know that I'm thinking a lot about limitations in design. And
Mm-hmm.
um, you told me the story about Adobe in Iran. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would maybe, can you repeat that and tell me a little bit about that? How that happened that you had to get rid of Adobe? And
Yeah,
you don't have to tell any secrets here that, but
no, no, no. It's not about the secrets. I think it is very important to talk about limitation. Our
mhm,
limitations is maybe the core concept of our conversation just started with a lot of different topics, just containing a lot of random and very broad, topics.
yeah.
But and it's also a very huge topic to think about and also apply it in your own practice on all your personal life. But um, that's really true. It's not only because my experience maybe resonates in a way with your personal experience in the field of being a designer or artist or creative coder or a teacher.
Hmm hmm
But I think in general, after a lot of work you do and the relationship between people, clients, projects, you sometimes start thinking about the whole situation and how you describe yourself again, because you don't repeat yourself for many years. You just discover something new and you just think about a new approach, a new method. And what is the limitation? What is
Mhm.
the connection or limitation in between our work and our, I mean, inside and outside? Because, I for a long time, I'm just thinking, how can I really connect and come up with the idea to connect everything from inside and outside my heart, my brain?
Mhm.
Um, and how can I find these signs and symbols? And how can I find this metaphor? What I see through working with creative coding, what is the connection between this kind of very nice technology, which is not depend on a lot of money, skills, but is exactly as you mentioned before in your course, is a way of thinking. Uh, so we can describe and just talk about all of these things, but maybe the core concept and the key word that we were talking about, it was the limitation.
Yeah.
So going back to the main topic of limitation, um, for many years, I mean, yeah, when it comes to limitations, when you live in the Middle East, when you live in a world that is kind of detached and disconnected from the rest of the world because of the economic situation, politics, and a lot of different things, limitation is part of your daily life. So
Yeah.
you every day, every morning, you have to cope with this situation and also find a solution to not only jump over it, to deal with this limitation and find a way to be more creative.
Yeah.
So of course it takes all of your energy and head space, and of course your focus. It takes a lot of focus and energy. So you get distracted again and again. And when you're working professionally and you have a deadline and you have a lot of stress and thoughts, idea, so many different things you encounter in a day when you live in a very chaotic situation. And of course,
Yes.
Middle East for many years has this problem.
Yeah.
So it has a very big impact in the daily life as a designer. So work with limitation, it's not only about the tools or design solution, is the core concept that you deal with that limitation in your daily life.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
actually beforehand, in advance, actually, you're just trying and experimenting about what is the limitation and how could be the definition of this
Yeah.
limitation. And
So
then when you face um, some issues in the design process that coming from this kind of economic or political situation, so you know what is the story and you know how it works. Um, in case it's not only about Adobe subscription in Iran, so a lot of program and software around the world are just using by people with the free version, cracked version.
mhm.
I don't know, just it's something that everyone knows about it these days.
Mhm. I have
But
so many
when you
questions about
don't,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But when you have this limitation, you don't want to pay because you're disconnected. You can't really have the solution, a very easily payment solution when you're living inside the country. It's not for everyone having a friend or family outside to uh, find a way. Very, very
Ah.
easy for the transaction of the money. So then the IP from this country, because of the sanction, is blocked all the time.
Hmm.
So you
Got it.
can't
So you
really
don't
update
get
your
the
software.
you cannot open the website. That's
No, 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 no. It's filtered. It's
hmm.
still
Hmm.
filtered. And also when you get update, it's just crashed. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think, but isn't it? I mean, you are from Tehran. You are from Iran, and you're
yeah.
raised in Iran. You came to Europe. You live in Rotterdam now. I think not such a long time
In The
ago.
Hague, I'm in The Hague right now.
Ah, you're in The Hague.
Yeah,
Okay.
but traveling between The Hague and Rotterdam a lot. Yeah.
Got it, got it. Okay. But the question I have in mind, I mean, Iranian culture is actually very very and arts and culture are very influenced by the idea of limitations. I mean, you had these boundaries already when people restricted you to kind of depict concrete imagery, right? I mean, you've
Yeah.
been working around these limitations all the time, but it looks like to me that you mastered to cultivate that art, culture, design, well, however you want to call it. Not you, but I mean the Iranian culture in general, kind of cultivated and created something unique inside of these limitations with all these typographic, concrete poetry. I don't know. Can you
Yeah.
tell me something about that?
Yeah, it's actually true, very true, and as far as I know, it's this is the fact based on um, historical references.
Hmm.
Through the history, it was a lot of change happening through the years and centuries in Iran, for
Hmm.
example, many years, just centuries back to centuries ago, when uh, it, it was a time for the new big change about the religion in the country. For example, the Islamic approach coming to the country.
Hmm.
So basically, Iran was not an Islamic country before through the history. It just changed a lot.
Hmm.
So, so for a short period of time, you could see how was music industry in those days was facing the limitation because it was kind of forbidden.
Hmm.
So, or fine art or paintings, nudity in paintings, or some topics that's related to the power, central power of the or government in the country was really restricted.
Yes.
So that's why people were thinking, now we work on type, we work on calligraphy, which is
Mm.
a very, very good and poetic and very powerful metaphor to describe everything you want from philosophy, from the religion, from
Mm.
storytelling, just you name it. Everything you could be,
Mm.
you could have it with the typographic approach. That's why calligraphy is one of the, I mean, key elements and important and powerful aesthetic coming from the Iranian history is very intertwined with the philosophy and the Iranian mindset and this chaotic and poetic or sometimes very abstract form of calligraphic work is coming from the reality and the situation. So
Wonderful.
the project I started a few years ago called Siyamash or Black Practice is actually representing that period of time, but with just to make it a little more sense for the nowadays for people for our new generation. I'm just making in a very contemporary way,
Mhm.
and I also was really lucky to join the course and learn about your course about the creative coding to also combine that project
And you made
because
amazing work. I loved
oh,
it so
thank you.
much. It was very
Thanks, appreciate
magical
it.
what happened there. But okay, let's just keep a little bit of for this moment. We can touch on that in a moment. But what I would love to ask you is the relationship to limitations. For example, I mean, there's a big difference if somebody in Iran is
Hmm.
forced within a specific scope of limitations because it's not allowed to leave that kind of space. But what, for example, what I'm doing in my work and what many other
Hmm.
people do, even way more radical, is working with self-induced limitations. That means you deliberately set a, let's say, a system of constraints. What I would love to learn about is, I mean, obviously, for someone like me, limitations are positive. Otherwise, I wouldn't apply them to my work and my life, right? I feel like I'm getting so much out of that, and I'm learning so much out of that, and getting much more clarity if I compared to a situation where I'm just overloading myself, which is also happening very often. I have to be very careful. But what I want to ask you is, you speak about limitations induced by the political situation, by the societal situation. How is the relationship with these limitations from like in culture and in arts, from
Hmm.
your perspective in Iran, and also for you personally?
Um, I think first, um, I mean, we have to be aware. Um, maybe I'm just referring the previous conversation or words that I mentioned before about the definition of limitation,
Mm-hmm.
because the cultural context is very important. It's this when you are aware of what your limitations are in your daily life and what is the differences between the limitation you experience outside work and in your studio when you're doing a project. They are quite different, but when you are aware of how you deal with this limitation outside, you can simulate that and just apply that in a different way. But you do it in a personal way. For example, if you limit yourself using the software, you need to experiment with the new tool.
Mm-hmm.
If you struggling using technology that you don't have full access to the information outside this kind of internet, so you need to come up with a new idea. You need to go back to the history, read about them,
Mm-hmm.
just find people, books, text,
Yeah.
articles, or also conversation. So in Iran, very small community of people. It's very nice way to communicate and also um, being more interdisciplinary. For example, I have a lot of architecture friends.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time outside this kind of boundary of being a graphic designer, I really want to listen uh, how and what people think about limitation. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of discussion about the limitation. What if we, change the angle, change our perspective about doing a work, about even the very, very restricted rules in the graphic design or traditional way of thinking of calligraphy and type
Mm-hmm.
design. So I'm coming from a very typographic and calligraphic way of thinking in graphic design. It's a main part of the design process in
Yeah.
my practice.
Yeah.
But how can I see this? How can I mean, put just a little sense and touch of my personal experience and add it to my way of thinking and also creating this kind of aesthetic. I'm not forcing that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Maybe
It's
I wanted to
emerging.
mention, yeah, I wanted to actually reach or touch this part to mention we are not forcing to do something because we were forced for many years to do something based on the limitation of the society, but we are not limited in our mind. So
Mm-hmm.
we can be everywhere. We can, yeah, it sounds very abstract and unreal, but we, as a designer, we really believe the imaginary possibility, you know. So that's
That's
so true
mm,
for not only Iranian people, how we are just in a communication, how we found we together. We went in Rotterdam for the first time. Your course is part of your creative process and how you deal with the delimitation. So it brought a new idea to build the community. So now I'm part of it. So this is amazing. This is really magical happening just behind the scene if you just look around and see and listen to this kind of, imaginary possibilities and be really open and embrace these kind of challenges. Get really connected to other people and see how people work and how people see the work. So it's very inspiring when you live in a very limited country, you can be unlimited in a
mhm.
way of thinking. That's the
Wonderful.
very magical part of it. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I think, w- um, yeah, I mean, I'm personally not. The things I've created with my courses is it emerged. It has not been has not been an architectural plan where I said, okay, I want to do exactly this. And I mean, of course, I had an imagination, but what I see and what I really appreciate to hear and what makes me like feel very, very touched is to see that I realized that I created a space for discussions about a specific topic which connects people and makes people think together. And I'm always so surprised by all the input I get from people like you. And, I'm speaking to lots of the community members, which I really enjoy. And I'm very privileged to be able to do. So, yeah. And it's the same. Yeah. It's also a system of limitations. And I think without limitations, you cannot exist because I mean, if you have all these options, you end up in this decision fatigue. And I think it's very good to give the people a framework and say, hey, well, you're not alone there. There are many other
Yeah,
people that think about these questions, and you can learn from them how they interpret the limitations. And I think in the end, the end result, in the best case, and I see this very often happening, is the limitations are just um, at the first sight, they seem to be rigid, but you see like how beautifully people just um, interpret these things, and that's
yeah,
something I find so magical to observe. And I'm like, wow, what's happening? Like, yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's very true.
Mm,
And I think beside all of these things that you're touching right now and mentioning, it's when you practice working with limitation, and I think you get more aware and conscious about using this limitation. That's also a very nice part of it as a designer, because when we are so young and we are just trying out different things and we don't know what direction we are going in the future, are we gonna do some, random things or abstract, or we are very connected to the philosophy that we are,
mm,
intrigued us in a way to find our very specific focus in our life. So
mhm,
that's very important. For example, if you are a teacher and if you are a creative coder and designer, but you are trying to make a balance, between all of this area of
mm,
expertise.
mhm,
So, but one of them is the main core focus in your life,
mhm,
because you need to spend a lot of time to study, to digest all the information you get about these kind of topics that you really want to learn more and you're eager to learn and listen. So that's the thing. These kind of differences between people about the definition of limitations gives a new, I mean, a possibility and chance to exchange the limitation. When I
mhm,
see some people are focusing, for example, in creative coding and make such a absolutely wonderful way with the like old school approach, not high tech or very pricey things. With just a small tool, normal, very basic computer, it is doable, and you can also extend your idea in a very unlimited way. You can do
mhm,
anything you want
mhm,
without any software. I personally experienced that. So, and
mhm,
I was thinking, wow, for many years, I was just in a huge need of, for example, Adobe softwares, but now I can just make things. I
mhm.
can I can make motion graphics with
Yeah,
just in a few minutes. I can show the works also in a presentation quickly by showing the process, and also it's fascinating how you think and how you write is very connected to the limitation itself.
true, true. I
No,
mean, that's what I want to point out that, I mean, processing for on P5JS and web technologies cannot replace Adobe, especially not the super
of course.
fast workflows, right? I mean, and also these super detailed features about typography, it's impossible. What I find interesting is like I heard that, people, for example, at RISD, I think, this is what my friend Cem Eskenazi told me, they are
Hmm.
using a lot of web to print technologies. Like they kind of get rid of Adobe and work with web technologies to create layouts and books, and these books get printed, and it's so cool, right? I mean, um, yeah, I think it's really interesting to see what happens if you cut the dependencies. You have to maybe think deeper about what you do. And also, maybe you are not able to get that speed that you need in the design industry. And I love, yeah, I'm just emphasizing industry because it is exactly that. It's something where only speed counts, only being quick, being fast, being, catching up with all the high tech stuff. And I think maybe what we do in our work is creating a space and awareness for the slower kinds of work, which is of course also a very privileged position to do because not
Yeah.
everybody can afford that. But yeah, it is interesting to discover and research in this to see all these beautiful things that emerge from that. And it connects us much more to the natural pace that human beings have, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
I th-
It's such a nice inspiring and resonating because when you're mentioning this, when you're talking about these things, it reminds me um, the study I had about movements against the modernism through the
Hmm.
history. You know, and it's very, very connected to this topic.
Ah,
Why we
nice.
try this technology, why we trying out different methods or having a limitation. Are we crazy in this world, having a lot of things, having a lot of chance, what not to use the Adobe program to do the faster, the project faster, quicker, and just you can do multitask, be really multitask these days. But is it really necessary to do that? You
Hmm.
know, you
Hmm.
know, just questioning things
Hmm.
is coming from a different part of the history and also different movements that
Hmm.
they were really aware what is exactly technology and but why we have to accept quickly. Well, this is a kind of
Yeah.
alternative method to questioning and then accepting and using if you really want to, because there is a very different philosophy and differences between what you really need
Hmm.
and what you really want. This
Absolutely.
is two different things. And as a designer, if we think and question, um, is it really is it efficient? Yeah, because the keyword efficiency comes with the
Hmm.
modernism.
Hmm.
So of course I love technology. I use it. I
Hmm.
have to use it. I can't really be really isolated in my studio or home and just disconnected from all of this technology. But just being aware of how and when we are using it, it reminds me this approach through the history. People wanted to use the technology, but not forcing. You don't want to, as a designer, we are not really in a good mood when we feel technology
Hmm.
is taking over all kind of power and
Hmm.
the mindset and way of thinking and your daily life.
Hmm.
You're not really feeling free anymore. So I can mention a lot of names, like just a lot of revolutions happened because of that, and a lot of movement in the arts and culture and literature, poetry, for example, in Iran, in France, in Italy, in cinema, we have different approach. Recently, I was also just in parenthesis, I'm just mentioning the neorealism. It's
Hmm.
such a huge topic in cinema coming from Italy in the
Uh-huh.
old days. And Iran is very influenced by this kind of approach in cinema. We have a lot of famous director and filmmaker in Iran
What is it
based on this.
exactly?
It's just, showing the reality as it is,
Hmm.
not decorate, not manipulate the
Got it.
situation
Yeah, yeah.
exactly clearly and use the very low tech to describe your imagination. So
Hmm.
that's why the aesthetic of this movie is so documentary way of thinking. And people and the governments and most commercial scene in the countries were so angry about this movement
Uh-huh.
because they were saying that, oh, we are so embraced when we
Hmm.
show the country, when we show the situation to other people or other countries, like we are not like that, but we are.
Hmm.
We don't accept the reality, and we want to, put another face and facade on top of that, and we want
Hmm.
to show something that is not real. I'm not talking about making beautiful things. I'm talking about this approaching topic, you
Hmm.
know? So
Hmm.
that this kind of old school technology, for example, the permacomputing term that we also had
Yes,
a
exactly. Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that
Hmm.
I didn't know for a few years. I met Americ Mansour,
Uh-huh.
if I'm not, if I hope I just pronounce it correctly. He's also a researcher and professor in Rotterdam in Willem de Kooning Academy.
Wow, nice. I need
Yeah,
to talk to this person.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was just, I met him in a first just meeting. One teacher invited me there, and I was there, and it just clicked.
Hmm.
And I was, wow, it's missing something
Hmm.
there, and you find it in very. unexpected way. And we had a long talk, and I joined his course for a few days.
Hmm.
And he's also he made a group of students and teachers for as a collective project about thinking
Hmm. Hmm.
about the technology and reusing old technologies,
Yeah, yeah.
and not against the system, not against the technology, just being aware what we really need, what is the consumption, what is the
Exactly.
consuming it. Yeah, yeah,
Appropriate technology based on all the systemic requirements and you know all these implications that we get from this. Because I mean, the question how we answer the or how we answer the question of which technology we should use is always based on a neoliberal mindset in Western Europe and in America at least, right? So we are thinking
yeah.
about what does it do to me? But I mean, the system thinker's perspective is to involve way more aspects into the, you know, thinking about the more than human world. That's how people often call it. So what kind of consequences does it have? I've just recently been watching, I don't watch lots of TV or films, but I watched a documentary on Netflix, which was really well done, which was called Buy This or something, or Don't Buy This. And
Mm-hmm.
it made me aware again. I mean, I've been reading some papers on it, but it made me aware again of this massive and incredible and unimaginable amount of e-waste that these machines that we use creates. It's incredibly difficult to recycle these machines because there are so many different materials built in there. So what they do is they ship like millions of tons or hundred thousands of tons by to Africa and just put everything on a big site, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is so toxic. People are dying it's incredible. And at the same time, the narratives of the producers and brands that you know are all about okay, now you can fold your phone and you need the new one because you have a bigger screen and
Mm-hmm.
you. It's all about it's this race, right? We are in this race of competition, competitive individualism. Everybody tries to save themselves. I mean, 20 years ago, people were speaking about the situation as like, okay, you can have more, can have a better life, but now people are even um, more scared of having a worse life and kind of not being able to catch up. And Hartmut Rosa put this into so
Mm.
beautiful words, and I'm not managing to kind of rephrase him here because I'm reading him in German. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah, it's such a interesting topic. And by the way, permacomputing, one problem I see is we have, I mean, it's an amazing term and it really matches so well. And I think that all the principles I so resonate a lot with that. And I think it's an amazing community and discussion. What I see is that I mean, people are inventing many terms now, and they are all connected,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, actually, we are speaking about the same thing often, right? If we there's low technology, obsolete
That's
technology,
true.
appropriate technology, I don't know, slow technology, calm technology, permacomputing, computing within limits, all these terms. I call it sometimes downgrading, right? So all these
Yeah.
terms are
Yeah.
connected, and it doesn't feel like that, you know? It doesn't really feel like we are speaking about the same thing, but this discussion is actually happening on so many different channels, and these channels seem to not really be aware of each other. That's something I find very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think when you see it, that's so true. That's
Mm.
when you see it as a whole, it's not a one
Hmm.
unity. It's not a one single approach. You see
Hmm.
some different method to approach this topic with a different perspective, and also it's a beauty of it. I
Hmm.
think it's very nice when you are observing how this topic is evolving and changing and developing
It is, yeah.
its whole system, but as I mentioned, I think it's coming from um, just being open about the limitation and the definition are different from the cultural context. Some
Yeah.
people, because of their cultural background, come up with just um, just single topic about
Hmm.
the technology or consumption, and are not being against the whole system. Some people are more related, doing related things about policy, politics, and economics. Some people are really involved with the
Mm.
cultural context and artistic approach
Yes.
using the technology.
Hmm.
So, but when you combine all of this, yeah,
Hmm.
you're absolutely right. We are all saying one thing. And I think it's a good timing for the whole world because I'm a true believer that all these technology are super nice, super useful. But one harmful part is it's funny. You see a kind of, I don't know, maybe it's not a good keyword, but I call it lazy design culture.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's these kind of having no limitation,
Hmm.
bring a chaos
Hmm.
and high speed multitasking for every single moment. And
Hmm.
it's also bring a lot of procrastinations. And you
Hmm.
see, it's funny, and people are solving problem of procrastination by making new app to solve this personal problem. It is a psychological problem. It's not about the technology. So
Hmm.
when you trust having software, you trust your phone, you trust your this kind of daily user experience you have,
Hmm.
you don't start doing yourself in a very analog and human way.
Hmm.
So it's we are lacking this part in also art education and design education. I
Yes, I
really believe
totally agree. Yeah,
it's lacking something
exactly.
there.
I mean, the problem is, I think we are in this mode of reaction all the time because, I mean, we are kind of in this thunderstorm of innovations. It's raining down on us. We have so many things that we have to make sense of at such a rapid pace. And I mean, Europeans are a little bit slower than Americans, for example, I guess, because have this tradition of reflecting on these things and thinking about, like, is it really good? We have a long tradition of
Hmm.
philosophy in Europe. I mean, Americans have also a lot of wisdom there, but I think it's like the leading culture is the new is the good, and yeah, I think there's I would love to see a process where we get into this proactive state where we start to think progressively about what kind of progress do we want to see, right? I mean, we're thinking about technological
Hmm.
progress as something intrinsically good, but if you ask someone what does it actually mean, ask somebody what technological progress means. Nobody's really able to answer this question, right? So where does it lead? Where's the governance? I mean, who is in charge? Whose benefits is the technological progress leading to? And I think these
Yeah.
are super important questions. Like, what are the incentives for new technologies, right? I see the profits on the side of big tech companies, and I don't see lots of profits for the design community in general. What I see is that it's super atomized. Everybody is in this mindset of that's what I learned also in Barcelona. Many of the people are in this
Hmm.
mindset of competitive individualism, right? Trying
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
be faster, better, more. Yeah, I mean, it's a precarious situation. I can understand all of these people because design becomes something like a machine and at the same time a lifestyle, which is also a force. I don't know. I think it's so interesting to think about that. And what is really strange to me is that this term design becomes something that cannot, or people don't look at it anymore as a holistic practice.
Hmm. Yeah.
For me, design is something that is very close to philosophy in a way, right? Because it's a very blurry term that cannot really be reduced to one specific medium. But now people learn motion design and they learn graphic design, editorial design, strategic design, whatever, right? I mean, strategic design is something else because it's also super broad, but that's something I find super weird that design is narrowed down to specific tasks that anyway gets automated so quickly, and people just run after the whole technological progress. It's really sad to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Mm,
I agree. I totally agree.
mm,
And the connection between design and philosophy is a crucial part of the design and art education. That's
hmm.
and I'm and I'm seeing and I'm very happy that I see some people. I know some people. They are yeah. They're not only designers. They are a great thinker.
Hmm.
That's the main purpose of a design. It's not. I don't think that the only just the trendy keyword or sentence that to describe the design is just having bringing solutions for problems. Hey,
Hey, what's
we're
up?
back.
Yes, that's amazing.
Okay.
I didn't know that we can actually continue. I thought we have to wait for 10 minutes or something. That's cool. Awesome. And I also,
Yeah,
yeah,
I actually didn't notice that its time is out.
me too. I thought it's 45 minutes, but it just ended after 40 minutes. Yeah, but we were speaking
Okay.
about design. We were speaking about design. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
where were we? Okay. Yeah, following your point, I was
Hmm.
just bringing this to what was that topic? Okay, the design. This I was thinking that it's when we um, think or say something about design or design process is not only bringing solutions, these relations, and I feel it's very in a very deep level of communicative part. The whole design process is depend on philosophy.
Yeah.
The term of philosophy could be very broad, but
Hmm.
what I'm pointing out here about questioning things in the world,
Hmm.
not
Exactly.
it could be in a very simple thing in a short period of time project when you're doing with your friends, your clients about a product. You can also bring in question, not only solution. People say
Hmm.
these days a lot, you hear a lot, design is problem solving, which is not actually these days. What why these very fast pace of life and technology and modernism force ourselves to
Hmm.
do something, as you mentioned before, doing so fast, be better, be faster.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's also when you make the complex situation, it brings another complexity. So it's also a cycle of history happening. When you read the philosophy and history, it's just happening for a long time, for
Hmm.
centuries. We have this problem, and
Hmm.
why we are thinking to make everything in a very complex form for of understanding. So then we have to come up with a new idea to solve that complexity, which is not the way to do that,
Hmm.
because the way to solve that brings another complexity.
Exactly.
So
The
when
way to
we
solve complexity is to reduce complexity, right?
complexity, so just the very clear example is creative coding.
Mm.
I'm not going to jump into the creative coding itself. I'm just talking about the writing. Just imagine in the past, designer were really involved uh, in writing and
Mm.
reading a lot.
Mm.
It was part of the design process because it was part of the thinking process. So we are lacking a lot in the art and design system nowadays because people even don't have time to read Instagram captions.
Mm.
So they use just AI things to make a summary of a summary and summary of a short text, and
Mm.
also 100 is more than
Mm.
you just need to create templates and put everything to be fit in the best fit in that template and make it shorter to more
Mm.
accessible for all the people. So what exactly we are removing in this? We are removing the human part
Mm.
or emotional part, which is for me, it's a very important part of the design process. And everything looks very machine based, created, and very logical, but we
Mhm.
are lacking the
Mhm.
philosophy part and
Yeah.
emotional part.
At the same time, what I see is I totally agree, and I don't want to say something against it. What I want to say is that what I see is, I've been reading a lot books about the current situations, especially around 2019, 2020. I wrote my bachelor thesis back then
Hmm.
about the time that I'm living in. So I wanted to make sense of the time that I'm living in and trying to understand what is special about the time. So what I did is
Hmm.
I made interviews with people that I knew and people that I admired. Also some prominent people like designers that I wanted to learn from. And I don't know, Eike König, for example, was a big hero of mine back then. He wrote a text. So
Hmm.
I asked them about specific events in my lifetime between 1985 and 2013, which was the year when I made my bachelor. And this question kind of I didn't stop asking this question myself. I mean, I started I think my life started at a tipping point when, or let's say, a point where an incredible acceleration started. My father's a graphic designer, and the studio in the 1985 was without a computer. He was an illustrator working with ink and pen and, brushes. And, he was an amazing in drawing things. And he had glue and scissors. And he had some people who created these little papers with text on it. And he kind of created layouts out of that.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
amazing.
actually where I came from. But in the next decades, it kind of went off. The computers came into the agency, was growing. He was hiring people, founding several studios. Then there was a web department. Then there was a video department. Like the acceleration was incredible, right? I mean, before that tipping point, there was no acceleration. Everything was still quite similar to how Gutenberg was teaching people how to
Hmm.
make books. I mean, putting all these letters of metal, that's what my father learned in his professional training when he was 15, right? Creating layouts, creating setting type manually with all these little metal characters, right? So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
where are we now and how? I mean, it's this incredible pace. For hundreds of years, nothing really changed about graphic design until the beginning of my life, and then it just went off in a
Hmm.
way that it's incomprehensible for human thinking, right? But
Yeah.
what the point I want to make is here, I think it's very important to understand these things, but I think we have to go further. We have to think about, because thinking about a situation is I think it's a requirement, but at the same time it's a reaction, right? We need to get
Hmm.
proactive again, and we have to think about solutions that kind of yeah, offer us something to deal with these situations with this acceleration. And my solution as an educator is to slow down and point out the beautiful effects of slowing down, which are amazing, right? Limitations are amazing. Slowing down and looking at things closely is amazing, even though this is a super privileged situation I'm in, and I can afford doing that. And yeah, but I think
Yeah,
that's the
agree.
point, right? We have
Agree.
to,
And you
we have,
made a very nice keyword out of it, like downgrade,
yeah, true.
for your, I mean, research for your book, for your,
Hmm.
methods. But
Yeah.
at the same time, is as you already mentioned, this is very important to know these things, and
Hmm.
also, yeah, we are we really
This is true.
really need to experience a very pure and deep level of being at now in this time, because we belong this time. We are not living in the future or in the old history. We are now, and we live with these things,
Yeah.
even we are not agree with all of them. But
Hmm.
that's important to have all of these options. And what is the alternative? What is really beneficial for ourselves as a one, you know, one person or as a community? So just this, I mean, way of thinking and see the world from this different perspective and exchanging this idea, we already talk about it. It's so important. And at the same time, again, maybe I'm repeating myself again, but it's so important. These downgrades, I also had for a few years the keyword unlearning.
Ah.
And last year it became very, very important for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
You know, I don't know, based of many different reasons. Back to 3 or 4 years ago, and specifically 3 years ago, just the situation in the country just changing. This revolution again happened. The whole system makes you sometimes think not only about your own perspective on your design practice or way of working.
Hmm.
You always think, what is your responsibility in case you're the designer and also a human?
Hmm.
What is your ethical approach to be a
Hmm.
designer or accepting design? I
Hmm.
mean, being part of the design industry in the whole world, not only in your country.
Hmm.
The relationship between me and other people from different culture and background is very important to really talk in a open way with freedom
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
thinking, freedom
Mm.
of, I
Speech.
mean, speech and rights.
Mm.
And
Mm.
this is not the written rules, and this is not a the kind of like we say democracy, we say politics, we say
Yeah.
different terms that it's very trendy these days, and also
Mm.
attached to the art and design
Mm.
industry, very, very um, obviously it's
Mm.
there,
Mm. Mm.
and but it brings also the same complexity to how to think about it. That's why I mentioned this unlearning and downgrading, or experience it, not for whole our life, but
Mm.
for a short period of time, practicing the very slow pace of life. It gives you the chance to maybe find new solutions for your daily life, or
Yeah.
having a new method for using the technology or using your digital devices. That's for me, it really worked
Mm.
very well because I made a very clear decision. I I I use computer every time, or we all use it,
Mm.
but it was the chance to me to go back to one of my old passions, to do a lot of different things in just very limited way,
Mm.
very, very slow, you know, a slow way, and doing it and enjoying the whole process with
Mm.
just making something by hands. I believe
Yeah.
this process is such a magical thing to
It is.
do. You just
Yeah.
spend time and you get focus. It's not only meditative, it's all because you are aware of all the time you're spending. If you really want to do that in a proper way, you have to be conscious about you're doing,
Mm.
not for enjoying that,
Mm.
just for learning that. That's why I keyword unlearn. It became more and more important for me and very highlight in
Mm.
this period of my life. Really, it's a kind of big shift and a game changer because you think you need to remove something from your body and your brain and be open to new things. But actually, you're not removing this. This is just the trick. Our brain, this is the way the brain works.
Mm.
It looks like we don't have the capacity to just, you know, digest the new information. It's a huge information. We are distracted by this information. But when we are open and when we decide to remove and
Mm.
skip part of the fast, and quick way that we used to do this
Mm.
every
Mm.
day,
Mm.
we shift to the alternative way of working,
Mm.
and we also start dealing with the new version of ourselves as a designer. And you discover, oh, this is the way to do the things,
Mm.
and I forgot it for many years. So let's do it in a very analog way.
Mm.
Why we are forgetting writing? That's this. I have all my small notebooks everywhere with me, and
Oh,
I write,
nice. So
I
beautiful.
sketch, and I also make it by hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always make this small, like a passport size, because I
Oh
have
my
it all
God.
everywhere. So I found it very magical to spend time to make notebooks and
Uh-huh.
spend time to sketch. I also used to do a lot of, Figma boards. I also use Notions and all of this software that we, as a designer, we use, and we needed to do this. But I
Mm.
also make some notebooks. It's maybe I publish it very soon. It's called not to do list. So I
Ah.
made a notebook about not the things that we can avoid doing them.
Oh, that's
So it's
beautiful.
also when you
Hmm.
compare your to-do list and your
Hmm.
not to do, sometimes it's more power and energy there, and you can find out how many things you're forgetting in your daily life.
There
That's
are quite
funny.
there are quite a few books about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's even one I read. I've been reading a little bit about Taoism. Well, not a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. I was actually into it like 15 years ago. I had this phase, and there is a principle. I think it's called Yu Wei. Yu Wei, not
Hmm.
Wu Wei, but Yu Wei. It's the opposite of
Yeah.
Wu Wei. It's like the things that you shouldn't do, or the things that you can do to get unhappy, which is very
Yeah.
interesting. Yes.
Yeah, and it's part of the unlearning process, which
Nice.
for me, it's maybe my understanding about downgrade. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, it doesn't start from the technical or practical part in the design industry. It's just
Mm-hmm.
coming. beforehand. It's just in your personal approach to the life and environment, and then the responsibility you take as a designer. This
Mhm.
is something, maybe two steps that they are kind of overlapping or switching, shifting sometimes. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's something I have in my mind.
That's beautiful. Omid, I have the feeling we could have dozens of more conversations, and I hope they
Of
are
course,
going to happen at
of
some
course.
point. I mean, I we can definitely continue this. But anyway, I think it makes sense because I recorded this talk, as I told you. I think I will hit end here. And in case
Hmm.
I'm publishing anything, we will speak about this in a moment. I think this is a wonderful opportunity to say thank you so much for all these sharing all these
Of
ideas.
course,
It's
of course.
always it's crazy with you. I have the feeling we are delving deeper and deeper, and I have so many questions to you. And yeah, I think, but yeah, maybe we have to keep it at a digestible
Thank you.
length.
Thank you. I really appreciate. Thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm super happy that we can talk about these things.
So
It's
good.
such
Yeah, it's
a
amazing.
privilege for me. I
Ah,
really think, the feeling I have, I think maybe just I can add one thing,
sure,
feeling
please.
feeling as a student, you know, student, if you just really think the roots of this, the keyword student, because also I have it in my own cultural background,
Hmm.
what which the student means, in Farsi, danish amuz,
Hmm. Hmm.
someone who's eager to learn or achieve knowledge. So
I'm a
that's the
student.
meaning of. So I when I think, it's not the title just for a study. Is a title as a for a designer, or for someone who is in a way to learning and doing things
Hmm.
and changing things,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And it's not a huge, big slogan on a billboard. It's just something very, very tiny things, and you can have it in your, in your bag, in your, notebook. But emphasize that in your some, part of your daily life, or your future plan, maybe, or imagination. It's really helpful. But having this feel of being really student
Hmm.
makes me more eager and conscious about what I really love to learn, what I really love to hear. So also it gave me a chance to be more open. Also, really listen to what do you think about the whole, I don't know, anything, just your minute about food, about
Hmm.
culture,
Hmm.
about music.
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
also got a background in music. I love music.
Me
So I
too.
also do a lot of graphic design,
Hmm.
before the music industry in Iran. And also I had some collaboration out of the country in Europe and United States, not not for showcasing the graphic design in that this industry, because I was wondering if I could understand such a huge, complex topic in philosophy and music, and
Hmm.
then design something for that.
Hmm.
That was the question I had. I
Hmm.
actually
Got
think
it.
as a graphic designer, or even as a, generally speaking, as a designer,
Hmm.
is not finding, um, you know, or being result oriented. This
Hmm.
process of, achieving and reaching and touching that highlights of knowledge, it's
Hmm.
something very, maybe, um, yeah, magical. That's the thing. I just wanted to
100%.
add
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
I also consider myself as a lifelong learner. I mean, this is something that could put a lot of pressure to people. It can feel very inconvenient, but I kind of frame it in a positive way. I think learning is inevitable. It's there always, and I embrace this so much. I really enjoy it. Like having this conversation with you, like seeing through your eyes into the world. And we see also that there are so many intersections, which is amazing, and so many
yeah,
connections between you and me, which is so
yeah.
empowering and feels amazing. Yeah. So,
Yeah, thank you
yeah.
so much. Thank you, and I really appreciate for this chance. And again,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for
Me
having
too,
me
man. Me
today.
too. Cool.
That
Okay. I
was
will
such
hit.
a wonderful talk, and hope to see you again soon and talk to you. Yeah,
Yeah. Let's do
yeah,
it. I'm just ending the record, but not the call. Okay. So,
yeah.
bye bye, everyone.
Bye.